Hello, thank you for tuning in. You're watching Nas Media and Communication, and today we are going to have an interview with Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany, who is living in United States, Texas, and our discussion point will be the current situation in South Sudan, as well as the remark made by Martin Elia Lomuro of the South Sudan's Cabinet Minister of Affairs. So do stay with us. It is a privilege and honor to have you at this show, Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany. And today we are going to be discussing various issues regarding South Sudan, and most specifically, it could be around the rhetoric that has been made by the Minister of Cabinet Affairs of South Sudan, who is Dr. Martin Elia Lomuro. But before we go deep into that, I could like to ask you that could you provide us with an overview of the current situation in South Sudan?
Yeah, thank you for that. And definitely, the situation in South Sudan is getting worse. It's deteriorating really fast. The main issue is the peace agreement has been delayed, has been also uh, jeopardized in so many ways, where the security arrangements have not been met, and also there's no inclusivity of many parties. So at this moment, South Sudan is at a break of war because the SPLMIG is in the mode of total domination. So which means they want to dominate every political space, military, either that, and also just demolish any opposition group. And this has gone on to targeting innocent citizens, and that has caused so much horrific scenes at the moment. So at the moment, South Sudan is in a break of war because Salva Kiir and his elites, especially Benjamin Bull Mel and Cholton Bollock, those guys have all just gone towards total domination and eliminating their opponents.
Oh, yeah. So when we talk about the peace agreement that was signed in 2018, do you think that it is possible to be implemented while the Machar has been under house arrest since March 25th?
No, at the moment, Dr. Machar cannot be ignored. And that's the biggest argument now, that the international community sees that Dr. Machar must be included in the peace agreement and must release from the house arrest, because he is one of the signatories, and he is the main signatories of the agreement has been installed. So definitely Dr. Machar has to be part of this.
You mentioned about inclusivity in the national level of South Sudan. So, and does this current government reflect all inclusivity for all ethnicities in South Sudan?
At the moment, it doesn't, because we're still battling a lot of the deep hatred and deep ethnic bigotry of leaders that feels that a lot of the South Sudanese minority tribes have never contributed anything to the liberation, and this has gone on to pointing out things and also dehumanizing certain communities at this point, where a majority of the minority groups feel as they're not included, and this is not what we want. We want this country to be all 64 tribes that are included in the government and have a fair share of the wealth.
If we go into the center of this discussion, you know that as I said earlier, Martin Elia Lomuro has said that about nine counties in South Sudan, which are majority of Nuer from the Greater Upper Niles, are hostile, and then 7 of them are more friendly. So, what do you think of this such kind of statement made by the senior government officials at the nation in general?
Yeah, South Sudan is a country where it's singly-handed or singly ruled by one particular person, and which is Salva Kiir Mayardit. and his elites. And with this recent statement by Martin Elia Lamaro, is that it wasn't initially just him writing it. It was wrote by the government, and he was just following directives from the top administration for him to follow along. So here's what we can see is that if somebody like McQuaid would have came out and read that, it would have caused more chaos, because then now it would be seen as Nuer and Dinka situation. So to kind of play down on that, they had to put a minority tribe and put them in the front to make it seems like there's nobody behind doors. But we all know that there was someone behind doors, and Martin was actually pretty much just following directives. Personally, he's one leader that's also sanctioned for corruption. He does have his fair share of many things that are happening in the country. He's already a guy that's already been in the scene. For example, 2 years ago in the government forum, there was a young lady. Her name is Nyakuma Piragarkot. She stood up and said that we do not need more weapons, because his argument was that South Sudan cannot, or the security arrangements cannot be implemented because we cannot graduate soldiers without guns. We need more guns. And she stood up to him and told him this is not how you do it. And not just only her, there was many people from outside and civil society members. And after that, he was really agitated and began to intimidate those that were voicing their concern that the country does not need any more weapons. So he already had his fair share of corruption, committing atrocities in so many ways that he is listed as one of the leaders in South Sudan, that has causing many issues that are sometimes goes underlining ethnic division. So and for that, it's not. I don't think it was a great idea for the newer elders to come out and singly handing him out, and actually pointing him as the main perpetrator when it was not him who wrote it. It was the government that wrote it, and they know very well. They just trying to play it down, and that has made a lot of headlines, because many people do see that if you guys are going to be against what Dr. Martin said, why haven't you condemned the bombing in many of the areas? And now that you're coming out as tough because Dr. Martin said that Makweleth has been talking recklessly in so many ways, and they have never condemned him. So definitely there was a lot of I would say they're kind of downplaying a lot of things.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, I can see that the social media has been flooded with such kind of remarks made that we condemn the statement of Martin, and the question would go like, where were these peoples when people in Nasser, Ulang, and Longchuk were bombed and displaced? And even though during the cholera outbreak there was no medical assistance to the peoples who live in peace there, so you can tell that there's a lot of issues going on behind curtains. So with such kind of remarks that has been made, that it is telling that the other 64, 63 tribes in South Sudan, that the Nuer group is hostile in general, because that's what the message is. So what do you think is imprinted on the mind of the other ethnicities in South Sudan, and how bad does it damage the reputation of Nuer?
No, thank you for that. And as you said, that the media has really gave the government a hard time, and for journalists like yourself, not being able to have a space it's tough, but you still fight. So we're really thankful for those of you that are advocating on behalf of the voiceless South Sudanese. And when it comes to the government uh, labeling 16 counties in Nuer that they have the friendly and they have the hostile. This is just it goes back to what John Garang said one time when he was alive, is that the counterinsurgents strategy is very dangerous because now the other tribes are being told that the enemy of state is Nuer, but not all of them. There are 19. There are 9 counties that are the enemy, and they have hostility towards the government. This is it's painting um, Nuer has those that are killing and doing all the killing, but in reality, South Sudan, there's hostility everywhere. You cannot when you go to the area of Numili Juba Road, who's been doing ambush there? I don't think they never bomb anybody from that side or said, "Oh, these are the enemy." So, and you look at if you leave from Rumbek and you go to other areas, there are ambush. Recently in Tun, the Apuk were fighting another 2 communities that burned 11 villages. And when the SSPDF went and tried to intervene, they disarmed them. There hasn't been bombing. There haven't been a statement made that these are hostile towards the government. As you
Yeah.
can see, this is something that relates to counterinsurgent by labeling Nuer ethnic group as the enemy of the state. This will try to let the other tribes see that you're not the problem. Stay where you at. But at the same time, we know very well the regime doesn't have loyalty towards anyone. At any moment, it can go to another counties in South Sudan and said, now these are the enemy of state, such as Tun. Tun East, in the long run, Tunj East will be labeled as an enemy of the state, and they're going to use those around them to fight them, and that will create more chaos. So it does paint a derogatory image of these 9 counties in Nuer. Who would even want to visit those areas if the government can say these areas are very hostile? Nobody would want to visit. No investment will be in that area, and this is exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And as you brought up this the incident of Tonj, we know very clear that the government did not respond anything regarding the disarmament that was made on the SSPDF soldiers, and mostly in Warab. There's been fighting recently, and as in social media, people are saying that a lot of SSPDF were killed by those in Tonj, which is not even different from what happened in Nasser maybe in March 4th. But until now, the government haven't said anything yet. And to add a little bit more, the the spokesperson of the SSPDF has issued a statement saying that there's been ambush regarding the bards, and there was a United Nations stuff in it too. So since they made that kind of remark, and like I think it was around 4 a.m. The Medicine Sans Frontières say that the hospital has been bombed in whole Fangak. If we see that it is this uh, their intention, I think it's really starting to unfold, and I think
Yes.
it will keep going on and on. So this brings us to the fourth question, the other question about ethnic profiling, as we say that. So internationally, ethnic profiling is recognized as a push or a trigger to a bigger things like a genocide or a massacre. So we can remember that the 2013 massacre in Juba is still fresh in our mind too. So do you believe that there is a risk of a return to a genocide maybe in the near future?
Yeah. There was a statement made by before Lou Raycon made that statement.
Mm,
I was watching a speech made by General Paul Malong. He was in
mhm,
Nairobi, and he said that the government failed. What happened in Nasser is a failure of the government, and that's why they were overran because the government should let the citizen know that I have more power than you, and they should intimidate them by um, by bombing
Mm-hmm.
and heavy you know military confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at that, then I was like, okay, the mindset of these South Sudan government is more of force. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna force you to do what I want, and if you don't, I'm gonna do as much damage as I can to let you know that don't ever try this. But in reality, in most countries, citizens are supposed to be allowed to vote for their own officials that will be able to be loyal to them. At this moment, the government is appointing these officials, these generals, so that they're loyal to the government, not the people. They're going to be serving the government. This goes to what Lou Raycon was speaking about. So Lou Raycon is is loyal to the government that appointed him in that position. He
Mm-hmm.
is going to go exactly what the government is saying, and that's exactly the issue that he made that press statement by
Mm-hmm.
saying that these boats has been seized by the white army, and we will go and bomb those areas. And that's exactly what they did. Was that a warning sign? Was he trying to let people know ahead? Hey, prepare yourself. We are going to do what we're doing. But
Mm-hmm.
it did happen this morning. Old Fangak MSF hospital was destroyed, destroying infrastructure that is useful to the locals. Now they're
Yeah.
saying that um, the main thing now is that um, if you're in that area and you're killed, then you shouldn't be in a hostile area.
Yeah.
That is just a way to downplay the genocide they're making, they're doing. This
Mm-hmm.
is going to end up being a genocide at some point because the mindset of the government is total dominational. I will intimidate you. I will put fear in your mind that you can never speak up. You must go exactly what I tell you. And and definitely the international community where we're at right now. This week I will be in DC the whole week. We're going to do a lot of a lot of workshops and things like that
Mm-hmm.
regarding advancing democracy. And South Sudan is one of the countries that lack democratic institutions.
Mm-hmm.
So already the international community do see that the war is right there, and the genocide already has been committed because they have already committed in Nasser and now in Fangak, and elsewhere it's going to happen,
Yeah.
especially in Milakal area. There's going to be genocide there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like just to maybe to wrap up the last question would be about the role of international community, as you said. So, and I've been observing social medias recently. The other news outlets such as BBC or Al Jazeera or DW, and they haven't been reporting much more about this issue that is happening in South Sudan, except most reports that were made by Human Rights Watch, which I believe reported accurately about what happened in South Sudan. So, what do you think should be the role of the international community in giving such kind of actions of the government a spotlight in the international arena?
Yeah. No, what it is some of these news outlets that have been following South Sudan for decades. They're not trying to air the same thing that they've been airing for years. They understand that many of the people in the world understand South Sudan. When we travel in some parts of the world and you introduce yourself, they know, oh, yeah, it's war there.
Yeah.
So at the moment, BBC would like to maybe focus on the human rights report,
Mm-hmm.
and have the human rights group release those report or publish them, and then they can kind of echo behind it. But by them going straight to it,
Mm-hmm.
once the war happened or if it's happening, they will have people there. Just like in 2013, there was some news outlets that were in the situation in Bor. They
Mm-hmm.
went and covered that.
Yeah.
They go to the front line. So at the moment, they're just kind of echoing what the human rights group are doing. Now, if we go and speak on the international community, there are a lot of pressure right now on the table with the SPLMIG, especially Salva Kiir. Now the international community has basically put it in his mind and have in his attention told him we're only going to work with people that want peace.
Mhm.
Those that are working to create war, we will continue to sanction them and label them as terrorists. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what's going to happen if if the United Nations mandate do leave in 9 days, as they say.
Mhm.
The next step is how do we pressure Salva Kiir and its entire government to
Mhm.
to implement the peace agreement. So there are many cases, frozen funds, other things that will be other measures that be taken, just to
Mhm.
let the government know that we're done. And I think at the moment the relationship between United States and South Sudan it 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 collapsed. The
Mhm.
United States are doing what they can to support South Sudan, but at the
Mhm.
moment, Salva is continue to plunge the country into a civil war, which now is causing so much billions of dollars for U.S. to do anything and to
Mhm.
even the humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's still a major issue, and right now they're trying to hire a lobbyist group in D.C. to see if
Mhm.
they can fix the situation. But the whole entire world is aware, and what the international community is saying, fix your affairs and
Mhm.
then we'll be able to support you. If you don't, we'll release, I mean, we'll kind of go away from that and we're not going to help you.
Mhm.
So and that's where and another thing we're seeing is the role of the UPDF.
Yeah.
Museveni is the problem in East Africa, in
Mhm.
Africa alone. At the moment, he's pretty much kind of handing over the power to his son.
Mhm.
Recently, his son has been tweeting, bombing citizens in South Sudan. They should be begging him.
Mhm.
So we're pressuring the international community on the role of the UPDF because UPDF now are so deep in South Sudan, and the bombing right now are carried out by UPDF because
Mhm.
Salva Kiir himself don't have the capacity to acquire such weapons due to the arm embargo. So the weapons, the flow of the weapons is coming through Uganda, and UPDF are carrying out the war. So we're looking for a national community to do pressure Museveni. At the moment, Museveni is also committing atrocities in Uganda, especially targeting the NUP, especially the president Bobby Wine and his group.
Yeah.
So he already has a war on his hand and the election that's coming up. So we're hoping that there will be more pressure on Museveni.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador. I would love to give you the floor right now to have a word that we would like to say to South Sudanese.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing, and also I would encourage you to continue doing what you need to do, and we'll support you. And definitely, South Sudan is a risk of civil war at the moment. Genocide has already happened in most of the counties inhabited by Nuer.
Mhm.
Also, the humanitarian crisis is worsened because
Mhm.
of the USAID being cut out.
Yeah.
So a lot of the citizens in all the refugee camps, Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, even Sudan, they're
Mhm.
suffering. They're going hunger for months. So we need these leaders to be able to put the people first. Put the people first. Put the hatred and the philosophy of dominating tribes. Put that to rest because that's not what we need at the moment. The world is going through a lot of the crisis, and South Sudan is developing. So if it continue to experience such war, it will not help. Just to echo what the ambassador to South Sudan said is that At the moment, South Sudan experienced so many wars, and nobody wants South Sudan to go to war. All of this must stop. We must return to the peace agreement, release Dr. Machar and all the opposition groups, and let's implement this peace agreement genuinely, because our citizens are dying everywhere. Even those of us in the West, we're not experiencing peace.
Yeah, true.
So we need our country to be in peace, so that all of us can be able to participate, and one day we can have election in our country.
Do you think that there is a possibility that the election will be held in December 2026, given the current situations?
It will not, and that's one of the main reasons the government is intensifying,
Mm,
pressuring the opposition group or eliminating the opposition groups.
mm,
So it will not happen. And Salva and his elites, their
yeah.
main thing is to hand the power over to Benjamin Bolman, and South Sudanese are not happy about that. We would love election, but at the moment, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay. Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And then until we meet with other programs, have a good time.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, this brings the end of our conversation with Ambassador Tut Riek Jikany, who's living in the United States, Texas. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Please stay safe and stay alert with other news. I'm Bob Woodgang. Have a good time.